We don't need load
We
shedding
do
to
need
happen
them.
before we realize we need light.
There's no other way. If you can show me in history where things have been built out of goodness, never. You can go to the greatest nation.
Oh, you're making leaps now.
Hadi.
Nkululeko on Cultr.
Okay, so this guy is banned on Twitter. Banned or
Which
suspended? You.
Umusa Kaula.
What happened? You and him and Donald Trump.
You know, I literally made a video on my YouTube channel,
I watched
Penuel the
it.
Black Pen, where I was speaking about Umusa being suspended. I don't know if Twitter calls it banning. They call it suspension.
It's not politically correct to say it's banning, but they literally are banning. They are taking away your privilege to post there.
Bastards.
They're saying
So-
a suspension. I mean, the way you broke it down was that you are not going to be able to tweet again.
So
The way you researched it.
yeah, so Umusa was suspended, and a lot of people celebrated because a lot of his content is trash. This is my opinion, of course.
Yes, I agree with you.
I like Umusa. He's DM'd me after one Twitter space, and he was like, please jump on more often. I was like, sure. I don't know if he is. I know there's been rumors of him being paid to destroy people's careers and the like, but some of his content has been destructive. And I've said before, we just need to be very careful because social media can really hurt people, for real. Made a video literally a few days later now. Boom. Jeez. Something about black people. Oh, okay. So Thabo Mbeki has been doing speeches, and in his speeches he's brought back his stance on HIV/AIDS, which back in the day with everyone else, I was also on the bandwagon. Thabo Mbeki is reckless, is ridiculous. He's not a medical doctor. What the hell does he know? And it's been quantified apparently that a lot of people lost their lives. Could be hundreds of thousands, could
Yeah.
be millions, because he didn't roll out ARVs when he was asked to, which may or may not be true. We had the COVID situation and hard lockdown, and it allowed a lot of us, maybe also because I'm a bit older and a bit more knowledgeable, to ask questions that we maybe would not have asked before, and we also didn't have social media like we had it before.
Yeah.
So just on the HIV/AIDS, I've said before, I want to apologize to Thabo Mbeki because I was ignorant at the time to what he wanted us to discuss. He wasn't saying they are wrong. He was saying, let's have a conversation. And at that time, people were like, who are you? Called the World Health Organization. All these people have said, this is it. Here we are now. People are saying, get jabbed. And our stance is different. There's monkeypox. Our stance is different. In those speeches, Thabo Mbeki is speaking about, or he speaks to the ESCOM situation, load shedding, saying engineers should be solving problems and not people that are not engineers, of which he was also complicit in the load shedding we have today because he tried to privatize ESCOM back in the day. They failed. Him and Zuma as his deputy, they never did the maintenance and the building of the power stations, and boom, 15 years later. The other interesting thing he said was most crimes in South Africa are committed by South Africans. And the reason he said that is because there's this thing now of crimes are committed by Zimbabweans. They must go home. It's illegal foreigners. It's people from Lesotho, Amazamazama. So he said something which for normal people is meant to be obvious. Most people in South Africa are South Africans. So normally the stats would be most criminals would be South Africans. So there was an article about that, and Ukandani Msibi, who's the CEO of 360, which looks after Noom's Money, which is a trade union. He retweeted and he said something like, obviously, it would hold that most criminals would be South African. I decided to comment there, tongue-in-cheek, sarcasm, pointing out the obvious. Black people are the most crimes are committed by black people. That was my comment. That's what got flagged as hate speech. That's what got my account suspended. And you'd assume suspension, maybe a day, a week, whatever. I went onto Twitter's, they say go to twitter.com. You go there, you're supposed to re-log in. I logged out, I logged in. It's supposed to ask me to confirm my name, my email. That option is not there. So I went onto the internet, checked, what does this suspension thing mean? And when you look at a lot of the blogs and those things, you realize for a lot of people, they're like, Baba, your account is not coming back. And not only does Twitter suspend that account, it also flags your email address and it flags your IP address. So your IP address will be the
Directly
specific
from this
location of where the account is coming from. So it would be this phone. If it was a computer, it would be a computer. So
Yeah.
if I want another Twitter account, I'd like to think I need to go on another phone,
Yeah.
another computer, create a new email address, create a new Twitter account, which I could do. I think Twitter is a really great platform for news, for complaining to companies, for engaging with companies. And celebrities are more open to engaging on Twitter, in my opinion. But my account's been suspended. I think it's a pile of dog shit, but it's a huge call because we've been hearing about Andrew Tate, being suspended, banned, blocked off the most mainstream social media accounts. He says he can't even call an Uber, apparently. So it's interesting that I may find myself, I'm not Andrew Tate, but I may find myself in a situation where my accounts are getting closed. I've been getting suspended off Facebook. Just last week, I was suspended for 7 days.
Yeah. There's going to be a point as well, just on that.
Sure.
On Facebook, there's going to be a point where the suspensions are exceeded a certain amount, and then you'll be banned.
And
Like
then they delete
I've had my besides the page, because the page is linked with your own account. I've had my account banned. I mean, that was for different reasons. I had like a big page of football, 50,000 followers and shit like that, and I used to post football stuff, but I was stealing stuff that was playing on DSTV.
Okay.
And you get suspended once, twice, the third
Copyright.
time. Yeah, I was copywriting. I was stealing, literally. So, and that's why the page grew. I was engaging people on football, showing them video clips and stuff like that. Eventually, after certain offenses, certain number of offenses, I then got banned, and even my Nkululeko account got banned.
Why are you calling it stealing?
I don't own that visual footage.
But
It's PSL matches that are owned by DSTV. Or
I'm asking this because, on social media, we normally screen video grab, TikTok videos, YouTube videos, and we post. And we never think. So if, for example, I watch DSTV on my phone, I could screenshot a certain goal and upload.
Yeah, that's what
in my
people
head,
do.
I'm not thinking, let me steal from DSTV and look cool. You're like, I've got a page, we speak about soccer. People are like, we didn't see the goal. You're like, let me show you the goal. And all of a sudden it flags. And for me, the question becomes now, DJ Sbu and I interviewed JJ Tabane earlier this year, and Trevor Manuel ended up suing him. I think the case is still ongoing for defamation, accusing him of things that are not true, etc. The SAPC, I think I saw it on the SAPC, it could have been other news channels as well. They took our conversation from YouTube. They didn't credit us. They didn't say anything. They posted it. They didn't even mention the Hustlers Corner as a channel. And I see all the time, SABC, ENCA, Newsroom Africa, someone posted something on Facebook and they'll show the footage. They don't come to your DM and say, sorry, sir, do you mind if they don't pay you?
Yeah.
So who gets to choose what gets paid for, what's copyright, what's not? Because these are some of the conversations where we get bullied, not just by social media platforms, but even by mainstream media, where you can't bite our stuff, but they can bite a clip from Diski TV and put it on DSTV.
Yeah, that's happened many times.
That's nonsense.
Yeah, it does fall under fair use. I mean, if they're doing a commentary on it, or an analysis of a situation, like the JJ Tabane situation, or even our videos on Diski TV, it's a decent gesture for them to say, courtesy of Diski TV. It will be more decent if they had sent me a message and I say, yes, you can use it. But it's within fair use that they take 5 seconds of it.
Who decides on the fair use?
There is a legal precedent for it. And I don't know whether or not it's applicable in all countries, but because YouTube is American, you can use 5-10 second clip whilst you're talking about something else overall. You can sue them. But there's a precedent that people are allowed to use short clip whilst talking about something. This was the conversation with JJ Tabane and DJ Sbu on the Hustlers Corner with Penuel as well. And this is what was said. They could use it in passing. It's not like they are using the full thing. Stealing is when you literally are not providing any analysis, any additional commentary on it. There is more technical language.
So when we back on Facebook.
Yeah, I was literally just putting their live matches in there, and I would get like 5,000 new followers on the same day.
Jeez.
It's like if you do it for like
it's like piracy.
Yeah, I was
piracy, like
that's what I was
playing a
saying.
movie.
I'm not complaining about it. I'm just mentioning it. Now that you say you've been suspended, just be aware that your account could be taken.
No, thank you.
You
No,
know,
I thought you were playing short clips. That's
No.
what I was saying, like showing that goal.
no,
But if it's like an entire match and
you're
the
not
entire
providing
movie,
any extra
I
analysis.
fully understand. So yeah, sorry about that. But look, the internet is old now, to be fully honest. But in the minds of many people, it's still young. And in it being young and in social media being young, there's still so much that people don't know.
Yeah.
And of course, these platforms will be like, but you agree to our terms and conditions. But they know. No one reads those things. They know. It's like when you go to the bank and you sign for a loan. No one reads those things. So it's not fair. I think what would be fair is they tell you can't do this. And in doing this, for you to have your account reactivated, please click and watch this video, which explains why what you said was wrong. And
Yeah.
I'm at a point with Facebook now where I can't appeal. I used to be able to appeal before, so if I feel something was incorrect, was wrong, it was actually not violating, I could appeal. And many times they'd apologize. I can't appeal anymore because I've been suspended for absolute nonsense. Like this Twitter thing for me is absolute nonsense.
For sure.
Even if it was not tongue in cheek, it is a fact that most crimes in South Africa are committed by black people.
Yeah.
Not that most black people are criminals. That's something else. That would sound like hate speech. But just from a statistical point, most criminals in South Africa are black just because of numbers.
Yeah.
So to get flagged for that, and then someone went
Why-
and said
can
they
I ask-
reported me.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, why would they have picked it up with their algorithms, or someone has to report it?
I'm not knowledgeable enough, but I know it's generally can be a combination of both. For a long time, I thought when Facebook would suspend a page for a period, I used to think it was algorithms. No, I used to think it was people. So when I'd come back, I'd start off by swearing at everyone. Fuck whoever reported me, I hope you die.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I started realizing that certain words get flagged, which has become
Yes,
sad because
yes.
we're getting censored. I mean, I'm cognizant now while we're speaking of things like swearing, trigger words.
Yep.
They're winning, essentially.
Yeah.
So I realized that you can be reported, of course, but it can also be algorithms that are picking up certain words. In this instance, I'm not sure. You could argue, could you argue that the algorithm picked up black and criminal? I'm not sure. But someone said that they reported. I don't even know if it would be one person, but
Yeah.
if they reported, and just on that report, whether it's one person, 5 people, it would be ridiculous if they don't have a review of reviewing the sentence.
Yeah, the process of review.
You know what I mean? Because
Even the ability, the opportunity for you to appeal that.
to appeal. But very thankful to people like Andrew Tate. Jordan Peterson, I found out recently, is also had his Twitter account suspended. Very thankful to Elon Musk. With the whole buying of Twitter, which we don't know today if it was genuine or not. But he exposed not just Twitter, but he was exposing social media platforms that these people are lying about the number of users. They're lying about certain users that are not real. They are robots. They lie about how their algorithms work. They might claim, no, but we're not involved in this thing. You're lying. There's people that are reviewing these things, or they are meant to be people reviewing. So when you say, no, but it's our algorithms. I wanted to say this earlier when we were speaking about copyright. I find that mainstream media people, when you speak about fair use and the legalities, mainstream media people don't want to have honest conversations. When you ask why not, they reference the PCCSA. As if it's like, hey, we can't do anything. It's a constitution, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the constitution, the BCCSA was written by people. Who are those people that are gatekeeping for it to be challenged? If you're telling me we can't have this conversation because of the broadcast, who in the Broadcast Complaints Commission is saying it's not allowed if people want to go to YouTube and listen to a conversation? There's a misalignment, and that misalignment may not be for the benefit of South African people, but for the benefit of certain isolated individuals or organizations. So I'm just thankful Elon Musk did that. Mark Zuckerberg's been in court for violations of privacy and those things for Facebook, etc. It's a mess and it's upsetting. My TikTok account right now has got an account warning. My last warning was because I was marketing someone who gave me a free pair of sneakers. I marketed, he'd given me his WhatsApp number. He said, please post the name of my Facebook page, my WhatsApp number. Posted the page, posted the number, it flagged. You're disclosing someone's personal information. And literally because of that, they were like, this is a warning. I'm like, Jesu. So
you can put it on the first comment and pin it, for example. Like,
I don't know about
there's
comments,
a way
but
to
again,
circumvent it.
because they're winning, I don't even want to play there anymore.
Oh yeah, because you could lose. Yeah.
I once posted a picture of myself and my second born son Uzulu. I was topless. My son was like 1, 2. He was naked. His penis is not showing, but I'm holding him.
Mhm.
Posted it maybe 4 years ago. Beautiful, hundreds of likes. Oh, so cute. You know, if this was in black and white, it would be a classic picture. I reposted it last year on Facebook. Same picture. It flags as child pornography. Again, I can't appeal. This is my son. It's not even showing his penis. It's not a video of, let's say maybe I was kissing my son, which is normal. Oh, you're kissing a little boy. I could be like, I can see how they misconstrued. It's not even a video. We're not kissing. I'm holding my boy. That stuff is annoying.
Maybe you could have put Pampers on him.
Yeah, but I think this is what I'm saying. Guti, now, if I want to take a picture of my child and I want to upload it, I have to be paranoid
Yeah.
about, is he dressed? Am I kissing his cheek? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the bullying that I don't want. And yes, I want to sidestep algorithms and reports because these platforms allow us to reach a lot of people and educate and change the narrative. The goal, I used to get angry before, the goal is not to fight the platform. But now if the platform is not going to just remove the content and it's going to completely shut you up, now you're stuck. And if like Andrew Tate, you can't speak anyway. You can't be like, look, I was banned here, but at least I'm here. I just want to tell you. Now you're closed off. Now you're stuck. And we have, and this was the Musa Kaula moment as well for me. People can talk trash about Umusa. Umusa doesn't work in isolation. Hitler didn't work in isolation. You need a lot of followers that are agreeing, liking, retweeting, laughing.
Following.
Yeah, yo, he's so you. There are people that are a mob that you come with, and they are complicit in that message. So, what was my point?
Can I please go into
I had
this
a point.
Musa Kaula thing? I think besides his content and the nature of the content, I said I agree with you when you say it's nonsense, it's garbage, I would never consume it.
Sure.
And it's not an attack on him. He's creating content that's not built specifically for my kind of profile as a human being. Mina, the reason why I defended him, and I will defend anyone in this, is that I see where this is going.
Yeah.
And it's our job to see where these things are going.
Yeah.
So regular South Africans, it's not their job to think about these things.
Yes.
They will hop on every social media platform. They are the mass.
Sure.
They are the numbers that the social media companies need. So it's not their job to think about these things critically. Because I did see some engagement, which, you know, a lot of people are just happy about the fact that someone that they don't like is off social media.
100%.
And I even posed the question, Uguti, are you going to be in support of banning and suspension when it's you?
Yes.
Are you not going to
Or someone
mobilize?
that you like.
Someone that you like,
Yeah.
exactly. And what I saw, and even with you, I don't like that the fact that you were suspended. And I was watching your video on your channel, and
Thank
I was
you.
like,
Thank you
I
for
don't-
standing in solidarity.
I don't like this. Like, it's not right. It's not right that Dr. Peterson is suspended on Twitter or banned on Twitter, or Donald Trump. And I said, in me formulating these thoughts, I said to myself that it is possible that in the lead up to the 2024 elections, national elections in South Africa, that you could have Julius Malema make a mistake, such as retweeting something that is funny, right, tongue in cheek, and then he could be suspended off Twitter. He's the most popular South African politician, right?
On Twitter.
Yeah, he's the most popular. Like, people
On
know.
Twitter or in general.
I think in general, people know Julius Malema more without the machine of being a president,
Okay.
and the machine of having access to resources. They know a lot more people know who he is. Not that they support him. He's the most popular.
I can believe that.
South African politician.
After Jacob Zuma. I'm joking.
You
Please carry on.
could
Please carry
argue.
on.
I think that it's possible that in the lead up to the election, 6 months before that he could be suspended, for example,
Yeah.
and that could have a very significant contribution to the EFF getting 10%, which they usually get, or getting 5%,
Yeah.
or getting 15%,
Yeah.
for example, if they were going to get a significant jump of 5%. And I think that the danger there is that Twitter and Facebook are now, and YouTube as well. I know Russell Brand shot a video a few days ago to say he has 6 million YouTube subscribers, and he's moving on to Rumble now because he was flagged by YouTube as well. So he's going to continue uploading some of the videos on YouTube, but he's literally just shooting live videos on Rumble because YouTube is now restricting him. There are words like, now we've figured out, yourself, me and you, we're talking about this, that these are the words that you shouldn't speak when you're shooting a YouTube video. I think for me, I'll reiterate, our people's responsibility is not to think about these things. And yes, you can comment however you like, but we are the thought leaders in this, that we are the content creators and we see these things firsthand. And I'm telling you now that whether you like Musa Kaula or not, Twitter is wrong in suspending or banning him. I provided a solution by saying that if the reason for suspension was the Lolo Cafe video, which we all know is egregious, is offensive, is an invasion of privacy. Lolo Cafe, go to a police station, go through the whole process of court, get an order to say he's guilty of invasion of privacy, blah, 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 Musa Kaula, right? Attach that as a PDF, you send it to Twitter, Twitter look at that, and whoever is within their division in South Africa would know whether or not the document is valid, and then you shut him down. He will never have a Twitter again. And that's like you following out the process. My fear is that if it's about 100 people or 5 people reporting it and you being taken down, we are going to see significantly more politicians being taken down, and that's going to decide the political process in different countries and so on and so forth. So for me, that's my stance on it, that I'm not in support of Musa Kaula's content or type of content. I don't care for it. I've never consumed it. But
you care about his freedom.
Yeah, the freedom for him to express himself. I don't know what you think about that.
I wanted to say this. I remember my point now. People are complicit in the mob that comes with the Musa Kaula and the damage it causes. Because it won't be Musa's tweet. It will be everyone laughing at you, retweeting, sending you DMs. Oh, I didn't know you were doing this. It will be your friends. It will be your family members saying they're disappointed. It will be brands saying, hey, we saw this too. It won't be Musa. It will be everyone else complicit in the thing. I was saying with social media, the internet is like the world. It's land. It's just an online. And social media platforms have become these cool places. Like Twitter is Dubai, Facebook is New York. It's just locations that everyone wants to go to. They're cool locations, all of us want to be there, etc. We've become complicit in giving these platforms power in how much we need them. And to what you're saying about Julius, you can imagine an American platform having so much power in South African politics. It's not a South African platform. It's not a South African platform saying close his account. It's an American platform saying, oh, we didn't know. We just thought he was just a user, of which it's a lie. But the power that we've given these platforms is so dangerous. And China had the foresight. That's why Google platforms are not allowed there. YouTube falls under Google. Gmail doesn't work there. Google Maps doesn't work there. Facebook products are not allowed there. Instagram, WhatsApp, etc. They realized Russia's got its alternative social media platforms. North Korea, we don't even know what they use there. They don't let anyone in, We had a Mixit, which was ours, where we could set our own laws of if this is going to be a chat channel, can it abide by South African standards and laws? If an America says, we don't like what they're discussing on Mixit, it's like, well, it's a South African platform. According to South Africans, it's fine for women to be topless. Because culturally, that's not nudity to them.
It's acceptable.
You know what I mean? If you put on an American platform, an Instagram flag, nudity, we see breasts. You're like, it's a cultural event. You know what I mean? So we have made these platforms powerful, and we continue to make them powerful even when we kick and scream. I can't get a visa into America. I can't go to New York. You make America look great when you could just stay at home and be like, let's build our own thing here. So there's going to be, or there needs to be a discussion around building local platforms. WeChat is a Chinese WhatsApp under a company called Tencent. Tencent is partly owned by a South African company called Naspers, which owns DSTV MultiChoice. WeChat tried to come into South Africa. They advertised on billboards. They threw everything in the kitchen sink. And South Africans were brand loyal for some reason. We didn't leave. Even when the rugby guys were like, jump on WeChat, I think Standard Bank partnered with WeChat and said you guys can transfer money. People stuck to WhatsApp. Even BBM died, even though we love BBM. Mixer died. Apple tried to have their own messenger. They were eventually forced to have WhatsApp. It was that powerful. WeChat struggled, and it's like, I tell people we can have a South African platform, but if WeChat with all the money struggled, we're going to have to find a unique way, and it may mean blocking other sites like China did. Except I know South African leadership is not strong, and they love sucking up to the Americans, and
they're not going to do it.
But then it falls on us. If you can follow a Musa Kaula who is deemed a bad person, on the internet, basically, a Musa is like a Hitler on Twitter in South Africa. It's destructive. If you can follow a person like that, why can you not follow a social media platform that other platforms don't like? If you know it's for the benefit of your people, your nation, it creates jobs for South Africans. We really, really lack patriotism. Not just to South Africa. South Africa is whatever. We lack patriotism just to ourselves. Because I've said to people, let's say DSTV has to retrench. SAPC needs a bailout, and people are like, "Bayalayega." And you're like, you realize you're creating jobs in America by watching Netflix instead of a Showmax. You're creating money for Americans by reading the Wall Street Journal instead of the Sunday Times. You're creating jobs in China by importing Chinese goods. Yes, they're cheaper. We understand you don't have money. But you almost have to pay for the more expensive thing because it's going to create jobs here. We can get cheaper over time if you support here. But as long as you're wearing Chinese imports, as long as you're on American social media, using American or South Korean cell phones instead of the South African Mobicel, as much as you're consuming international content, we will keep exporting jobs, we'll keep becoming weaker. And the day we are told, jab, shut down your country, and we're like, no, who are they to tell us? You've given them power.
Yeah.
We've given these guys power, and it's sad. The other thing I wanted to say, at some point, I got angry with Facebook in particular. I was like, do you know how many people I reach on Facebook? How many people come onto Facebook for me in particular? Do they not consider that? Do they not think, but he's got a lot of followers. It's not like a random little account. And I realized, number one, these guys don't care. Number two, you're so small. If they've got 2 billion users and they are being funded by a CIA, a MI6, whatever, KGB, to push a certain narrative, cutting out 5% even of the most influential people on a Facebook, they don't mind losing them. It's such a minuscule number in the bigger reach. So you'd think in your head, Jordan Peterson, Russell Brand, you'd be like, surely these guys get special treatment. When someone flags, it's not just an algorithm. They're like, but guys, it's Russell Brand.
Yeah.
We can't just cancel Donald Trump. Can we review? But it's almost like, and some people would argue it's democracy. It's not. Yeah. It's almost like, oh, they treated like the rest of us, but it can't be. And I've said this
there's
about crime.
There's something sinister. I'm so sorry, just before you continue, there's something sinister about even the way that they're treating Jordan Peterson and Russell Brand, because we actually all have brand managers. When you reach 100,000 subscribers, you actually have a YouTube manager, someone that you engage with. I've had warnings on Itiski TV being taken down just because I literally write a long letter about why the warning shouldn't be there. And then they say, we apologize, we've taken it down. And then they will say 2 days later, is there anything else that we can help you with, specifically for Itiski TV, for example? You know, so that's like the manager that you get. That's a privilege that you get when you exceed 100,000, when they see that you have an importance there. I think that something more sinister is happening, that when Russell Brand shoots a video, his message is so powerful that he gets 1 million views within 24 hours, that they are now starting to see there is no need for us to service this person because he's infringing on our relationship with our advertisers. Every time he speaks about Pfizer, and he does that, and he's very, very strong. You know, and this is the reason why we have to bleep out words even with us now, because the advertisers are starting now to demand that don't put your ads on content that it has swear words, that has this type of content. Literally, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter is moving towards that direction where they are sanitizing the space. We thought that we were running away from mainstream media on television, or traditional media, television, radio.
Because it censors.
Yeah, because we were running away from censorship, but we're literally walking into another situation in censorship. Maybe perhaps in the spirit of wrapping this part up before we move on to something else.
Do you want to move on? This is a very important topic.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we can go on if you want to go on. But what do you make of what's happening with you? What's the resolution to it? You're not the only person who's experienced it. I think a lot of people. This is the irony about people, and I always find people funny because they are always proven wrong over time. You are happy with the person that you don't like being banned.
Yeah,
it's gonna come back to you
It always comes back.
Yeah, it's going to come back to you. You are going to be banned, and you're not going to talk nonsense. I'm not going to listen to your nonsense, how you were banned and how it's unfair,
Yeah.
if you can't sympathize with other people being banned, whether you like them or not. How do they resolve this? Because they've certainly picked sides. They are certainly deciding that there's no censor, there's no what is this politically incorrect language that's used now. There's no swear words. There are no topics that are discussed that they don't want. Where do we go from here with regards to the social media companies?
Before I answer that, I just wanted to finish.
Sure.
I really
Sorry.
thought, to what you're saying about the brand manager, there'd be VIP treatment when you get to a certain level.
There is.
Part of it may be the fear that you are so strong, like Joe Rogan, that you could literally move your audience to another platform. So they maybe don't want you to get that big, especially if your message is alternative.
But if you have 6 million subscribers, I mean, what can they do? Because Russell Brand, if you notice in the last 12 months, what he's been saying is sign up to my mailing list
Sure.
and make just in case one day.
Yeah.
He's been doing that consistently for the past 12 months. And I watch him at least 4 times a week. He shoots 7 videos in a week. You know,
I'm trying to say mainstream media will do everything in their power to give a Somizi, Bonang, whoever their favorites are, Maps, Maponyane, Mini Dlamini, Nomzamomba, the people that they think are brand friendly and that serve a certain narrative,
yeah.
they will do everything. You have 50 million subscribers. To what you were saying, once you speak alternative, they shut you down quick and they don't even wait. I think part of that fear is you can take your 6 million subscribers and move them somewhere. And they're like, before this guy gets even bigger in influence, maybe let's shut him down. Let's first start by threatening him, warnings, whatever the case may be. I've thought about this when it comes to crime. And I thought maybe social media would also consider something like this. If I've posted 500,000 tweets since I joined Twitter, and of my 500,000 tweets, 300,000 of them have helped people find lost people, helped people get funding, helped someone put a smile on their face. The comments are so positive.
Yeah.
And of those 500,000, 200 of them have been negative tweets, flagged, reported, whatever. Can they not build something where it's like, this guy's overwhelmingly a good person here. And as much as we see this, we're going to warn him. We're going to remove maybe that content. But we need this person here because they generally do good things. And I've thought about criminals. If I've been a good person my whole life, 50 years of doing charity service, Mother Teresa, good example. Life of service. Driving a car at night, accident, it's raining, she hits a child. Culpable homicide because it's by accident.
Yeah.
All of a sudden she's flagged. Oh, she's not allowed to, she can't travel because... And you're like, you realize this woman has got such positive value in the world. When we're asking for you to give her a different treatment, particularly because it's her. If it was a random person, obviously the laws are made for the average person. But it can't be that someone that is so important, maybe even to advertisers. How much money has Nkululeko made for you guys on YouTube? With he doesn't have to make the content. He's making it. Advertisers want to jump on here. How much money has he made for you guys to just kick him out? Kind of situation. That was my thinking. But I understand that the world is run by a few people. And those people have got a lot of money or can influence a lot of money. If the various companies I influence spend $1 billion on advertising on a Facebook, and I don't like Donald Trump, he grates my tits, I will do whatever it takes, and I'll send everyone from all the different companies to all flag and say, this guy is not good for the thing. And they'll be like, but guys, we've gotten multiple reports from a lot of organizations. It's not a lot of organizations. It's one guy who has influence on like a Johan Rupert in South Africa. He's got so much influence on so many companies in this country that if he says in passing in a board meeting at Remgro, I'm not really sure about this guy, the guy will get flagged everywhere. And when you hear the reports from different employees, different managers, different CEOs, you'll be like, but guys, it can't be that 30 different companies are saying the same thing. It's not 30 different companies. It's one guy. So until we realize that, I really thought Donald Trump was going to create his own platform for alternative thinking and for alternative ideologies. The reach is there. And I think the challenge for specifically now South African kids, I know some of them have created it. I know it requires a lot of money and it's probably not going to catch flight, but who knows? You could be the next Mark Zuckerberg, Eduardo Severin, sitting at UJ, Wits, creating something in your res room, and who knows who can fund it, and we can create our own alternative voices.
Do you know, as you say that, I think that it is possible. The most difficult thing is to replicate the algorithm so the reason why Donald Trump reaches so many people when he's on Twitter is actually largely because of the Twitter machinery that distributes the content. So the reason why Twitter and Facebook and YouTube are so good is that when I, as a Penuel with 30,000 followers, they actually distribute your content to those people.
Yes.
Not all of them. If you have 30,000 followers, it based on the strength of your engagement, generally speaking, your history of your engagement, how people engage your posts, they will then send to 10,000 people, and then perhaps 10% can engage. Actually, the point I want to make about that we could actually create our own platforms, but I'm so pessimistic in that I think if Mixit was still here, eventually advertisers would have captured it because of the allure of money, and we will still have the same problem. Because I don't think that in 2010 we thought YouTube would look like this.
Yeah.
That's why I berate the fact that I was born in 1990, so that the innovation I'm making now on digital space only happens when I am 30-something. Whereas if I was born in 1980, I would have done these things in 2010, when I'm 30 in 2010, and then I would have made enough money such that by the time they are starting to suppress, I'm like Joe Rogan-esque in that I can move and I have enough money to move and do other things. I think the timing of when you are born sometimes is unfortunate. But then the point I wanted to make was that even if we do get those Mixit and alternatives, eventually, even Rumble, we didn't know
I think Getter is the other one.
We didn't know that Netflix was going to experiment with dropping content on a weekly basis, as opposed to they already have it. The Yeezy Genius documentary, they already have the full content, but now they start to experiment and prolong the thing by giving you one episode. They did it one episode, it's 3 episodes, but they did it across 3 weeks. And now there's talks about advertising at some point because they need to justify the spend. And then instead of giving you something to binge on, they want to give you something over. It's like, it literally ends in Nsizwa. Like every Tuesday on SABC 1 at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m, you literally are going to have to be there. So we never thought or envisioned that these brands would be like this. But I think eventually all roads lead to brands being captured by money.
Yes.
It's not necessarily a negative thing, but I think we don't want to be idealistic in our outlook to think that all of these alternative brands are not going to turn into that. I saw Rumble for the first time, and I clicked on a couple of videos, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't appear as though there's ads, so that's like a competing YouTube version, right? But how good is the distribution of the content? Can you reach 500,000 people if you're a Russell brand on there? But eventually, when people come there, eventually they're going to have ads at some point in 5 years.
There will always be a need for revolution, and we must embrace that. We have to be the revolution ourselves. Digital cameras, smartphones killed normal film outlets, normal photography outlets.
Yeah.
Netflix killed the way we view. The reason we are here today on YouTube is because people got tired of mainstream. We are part of a revolution. Someone could have been like, but you don't have the mechanics of an SAPC and the reach and they would have told us exactly what you're saying now. But where are you guys going to get the money? You don't have a sales team. You don't have someone has to push it. Julius had to create an EFF. Someone has to come and create the new whatever. And I'm saying we need to be part of the revolution. And human beings are proving now that they don't want the status quo. The reason they run to YouTube is for an alternative voice. The reason they go to Reddit, the reason they go to Rumble is because they want alternatives. So there is a market for that. It won't be as big. Might speak about, let's say, a KFC, but why would you start a chicken franchise when KFC is so big? And someone has to start that fight. And if you've got Penuel's chicken, Nkuleko's chicken, Ubanban, maybe over time we'll push the revolution. Once we decide to collaborate and we call them Zanzi chicken and we're all over the world, someone will come and capture us.
Yeah.
That always happens. And then the next batch of kids has to then start their own revolution. But we mustn't fight the revolution. We must revolve. We mustn't be like, guys, but we don't have a choice to the ANC. Yes, it's big.
Yeah.
Yes, it has money. Yes, the EFF will be captured. Yes. But we have to fight because in that fight, something changes. And that one thing or those 5 things that change are good enough. And there are going to be new stars. There are going to be new TikTok celebrities, new YouTube celebrities that would have never seen the light of day were it not for those platforms. So we have to create mini Spotifys, even if it's only got 50,000 users in South Africa and it's only in South Africa. That's good enough. And the next kid must do the same. It's not making money. It's small stand-up comedy. Who's going to pay for stand-up comedy? Come on, would you pay for jokes? Here we are today. Who would pay to listen to people rhyme poetry over a beat?
Yeah.
Here we are today. So we need to be part of revolutions. When the calling comes, we mustn't fight and be like, but guys, these guys are too big. We need to be the Davids to the Goliaths, because we can see that the world is not going to get better if we keep getting bullied by the same old dinosaurs. We will be the dinosaurs in future.
That's the thing.
And kids will fight us.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
let us become dinosaurs that earned their keep.
Sure.
At the very least.
No, I get you. For me, I'm worried. I'm worried about censorship. I'm worried about where this thing is going.
It's destructive, man.
Yeah, the more money we're making with advertising revenue, it's sort of like a sense of irony that we get worried because we're part of the system.
Yes.
We are making YouTube revenue.
Yes. We're complicit.
Yeah, we're complicit in this. You think you're gonna start another one, or
Twitter account?
Yeah, you're thinking about it, or
I am thinking about it. I was looking to give Twitter a month. Log into my account, see if they maybe give me another notification. Click here. Let's. The other option is to get maybe a group of 10 people. We create a WhatsApp group where I post content there, and then they take it and they post it on their Twitters, on their Twitter profiles. The other option is to create another account. Because like I said, I gain a lot of value from Twitter. So I'm not just just because they suspended me, they can go f themselves. And I understand that it's a great platform. I gain a lot from it. It's just, I really feel they were wrong here. So we'll see. But more exciting for me is alternative platform. Because let's say, for example, I was kicked off a big radio station, kicked off a TV, or what you said was whatever.
Sure.
I'd be excited about the idea of getting on a YouTube and podcasting, getting on a TikTok, getting on a Rumble. So I'm like, this might be the red flags and the signs where the universe, those that believe in Amadlozi and the universe and God, this is God saying, be part of the change to shift the narrative. South Africa or Africa needs its own platforms. This is it. The reason they banned you is because you must be part of the people to raise your voice. The reason the people at the ANC hate you so much is because you are the guy that has to become more vocal. The reason white people are like, we hate this guy as a racist, is because you have been called upon to rescue your, like, there's a reason, if you believe in the universe. For me, the reason is just, I understand, having studied history, how important freedom of speech is, how important alternative ideology is. And I know that the world that we live in today, if we call it advanced, has been built by rebels, including a Jesus Christ character, including an Elon Musk, a Steve Jobs who was fired from his own company. Not even from a Twitter, that's not Yagini. They were Yagini. And you got chased away Yagini. Ushaka senza ngakhona. They turned their back on him, Abagini. And that was the calling to say, this is your time to rise and build something else. Revive Mixit. Revive Lokshan culture. These things were there. Someone fought. You guys kind of sold out to the Americas, the Europes, the Asias. We will never have that dignity, and we'll always bow down. Never mind social media. We'll always bow down to the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, the IMF, because we are too scared to build a small stokvel that will change the tide, like the Afrikaners did with the Precedent. Little stokvel. Today we've got all these great Afrikaans companies like Naspers, which owns a Tencent, which owns a WeChat. Huge billion-dollar company. Because Amapun were like, the British don't see us. The Europeans think we're misfits living in South Africa. Let's do our thing. And they fought, and they've become a force to be reckoned with. So Oranya's doing the most. AfriForum's doing the most. When are we building our own AfriForums? They've got their own streaming platform, by the way, like a Netflix, with their own content. Like, it's there. Like, do it. We can do it. We have the technology. We have kids that code. We have, we'll use mainstream. We'll get on TV if they invite us. We'll get on alternative social media. But we must constantly be building our own way. It's our home. At least let me kick you out of our channel and say, I don't like you anymore. But it's like, at least it's my home where I got kicked out. I understand where it's not like I'm trying to speak to Jack Dorsey. he doesn't know you. What? So I think for me, this is a calling that it's our time to rise and try and create our own platforms, no matter how small they are. Somewhere along the way, there are going to be kids in future. They will say, "Look, man that built the South African YouTube, Google. It was small, it was clumsy. Oh, the interface was so bad." But we've been able to build on that today to what we have now.
All right, thank you very much for that meditation. I think just for all of us as members of the audience, I would like you guys to consider this, that it's not about taking sides with these issues. There are a lot of interests at play with these social media companies. It's deliberate. They know exactly what they're trying to do. These are the building blocks to influencing elections in different countries. It starts like this. It starts with silencing certain voices. It's not about you liking Penuel or not liking Penuel. They ban him today, tomorrow it's your favorite political leader. And then we have a chaos that's created by an American company. Which is amazing. It's amazing how the world works, that they could decide the destiny of our country. They said that the Arab Spring in 2011 was a revolution that was formulated on digital media or social media. Who knows how much of an influence Americans had on that? That Tunisia, Algeria, Egypt decided that they're going to burn stuff down in their country, and they made a revolution. Leaders who had been presidents of their countries for 30 years were toppled. We see positive in that, but we don't know what happened thereafter. The reporters left when the revolution was completed, and we don't know whether or not those people are still living in decent conditions. So these companies are very, very powerful. It's not about you liking personalities. It's about you seeing the danger ahead. Okay, if they're silencing these voices, what's going to happen during election time? But anyways, thank you for that meditation, Pen.
I want to add,
Sure.
People must watch The Social Dilemma documentary. It's on YouTube and on Netflix. They must watch The Great Hack. I know it's on Netflix. And then I always recommend V for Vendetta as a movie. Hugo Weaving, the Wachowskis. I recommend 1984, which is a book by George Orwell.
George Orwell, yeah.
Yeah, so
I was only 10 pages
Just on
into
this
that
topic.
book, actually. I had a PDF. I have to go back to it.
sure.
1984.
It should be revisited on a regular basis. So, and then there's the interview is not important. But The Social Dilemma, The Great Hack, 1984, V for Vendetta.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
You want to talk about polygamy?
Do we have time?
Yeah, maybe 30.
But look-
there's on the other things that we wanted to talk about here. We have 30 to 40 minutes to talk about.
I'll do an introduction
Sure.
so that if we run out of time, at least I've done an introduction.
Yeah, because it's load shedding and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we have 20, 30 minutes.
I'm glad I touched on the revolution idea.
Mhm.
I think every generation or every bunch of generations should have a cause. Always. Whatever that cause is. The technology we enjoy today, the electricity we enjoy today, the running water in the taps, the languages we have, the clothing, the movies, all these things that we appreciate today, being able to click a button and get food, has been because people have had to build on different layers that weren't created by them at the time. We can build technology because someone invented electricity. We can create a better phone because someone invented a phone. So we always need to have our own cause. It keeps us busy. There's no real purpose of living, but let's say we have a cause. You need to identify what that is for you. Omkhulu nogogo laba abahlala eParliament today, they had their fight. Fighting for political freedom is what it looks like now. People are saying that we were fighting for land and the economy, but it looks like it was for political freedom. Today we get to vote. Today they get to sit in parliament. We get to affect and influence certain laws.
Yeah.
Some people like the EFF or Julius and them believe that our generation's struggle is economic freedom, which I think is nonsense because I don't think that really exists anywhere in the world. There's always a minority of rich guys, and then maybe they just mean we need more black owners. Maybe. Codesa happened. I believe as a generation that even number 2000, we need to have a new sit down and a renegotiation of what must happen to the land in this country, of what must happen to the economy in this country. We can't just say, yeah, but you know the constitution and BEE, they did that. That was their purpose. Siyababongela. Thank you very much. We're gonna build on that. We want a new sit down with younger blood Later on, when we're old people and we're like, no, but we drafted the Nkululeko code on social media.
Sure.
That's nice for you and Nkululeko. Salbongi Kehla, but it's
It
our
was
time
convenient
now.
for your generation.
Yes. So we need a new CODESA. I don't like how the land is handled in this country. Even with the Freedom Charter, the Constitution, CODESA. I don't like how the economy is handled, especially in how we plug into the global economy, which bullies us. And then part of the things, because I've got my own belief system, we'll call it a religion, Penuelism, I am challenging now 4,000-year-old things. When the Jesuses and the Mohammeds came and they were at the time, I'm challenging that. Luckily, we've had people that have challenged. It wasn't new religions, but new ways of consuming religion. Isaiah Shembe, with the Isonto Lama Nazareta, the Lichanyane family with the ZCC.
Yeah.
We've had other religious leaders, maybe a Pushiri, whatever the case may be. They came with their own flavor. I'm challenging the core of belief systems and religion. I feel it can be my contribution. Kids in the future will be like, I follow this religion and it's thanks because Penuel, I might be an Abraham. Penuel inspired kids to build new religions. So thanks to that, the religions of the day believe in homosexuality, they believe in artificial intelligence, they believe in the fourth industrial revolution and the metaverse, as an example. I believe we need something beyond money, which I think the guys with blockchain and cryptography are trying to do. We need a new way of bartering, exchanging goods, quantifying value. Part of that now is cultural ideology. And I believe our cultural ideology as Africans as a whole, in particular, Black South Africans, need to be revisited. A belief system could be a religion, it could be a culture. Because culture is not much different to a religion. What do you wear? What do you eat? Who is your higher power? How do you socialize? What is marriage? Why do you get married? Why must you have more than one wife? Why must your wife take your surname? What is a surname? Why must you have a king who controls the land and all of you as subjects or peasants work for the king? We are smart enough, we've been exposed enough, we have studied history enough to understand that a god, a prophet, a pastor, a president, a king, a chief have all been man-made. Why can we not challenge these things, especially in a time where you're like, these things don't serve us anymore? Our women are empowered. We've got feminism now, which a lot of women buy into, whether it's right or wrong. We've got women empowerment, which a lot of women say is very necessary. And we've got all these other things. And it's like, but when will we then challenge culture? Not for culture's sake. For those who it suits, by all means, retain what you have and preserve it. Mawufuna ukuhlolwa uyintombi mhlambe yakwaZulu ufuna ukuyohlola ukuthi uyitshitshi, say intombi into. By all means, do your thing, girl. That's the right you have. That's why we even fight for women empowerment and feminism, so that you have a right to say, I want to retain my virginity. I want to be tested. I want to be subservient to my husband. That is your right. But we'd like the next woman to be like, I don't want to do that. And they say, no, but you're uncultured. You're uncultural. You've lost your way. You're too westernized. Whatever the case may be. And you're being told by who? You're being told by people that have plugged into the money system, people that go to colonial schools, people that respect a Roman Dutch law, people that drive these fancy cars, that use these cell phones, that people that have bought into everything that they call Western, except for this part that suits their agenda. Because they make money and they have power using that. I've been criticized, and luckily social media doesn't pick up these things because the Americans don't know much about culture. When I challenge Ilobolo, when I challenge Inhlawulo, when I challenge the kings, there is nothing different or special about Umisu Zulu, Kazwelithini, different from me. Besides that, his dad was the king of the Zulus. He was born in the right family, and his mom came from the Swati kingdom. There's nothing unique about Harry and William, except that they were born in the right family. There's nothing special with the Tutuzane Zuma, whose father is a Jacob. Nothing special about an Andile Ramaphosa, just because his dad is Cyril. Nothing special about a Rob Hersoff, who happened to be born in a Hersoff dynasty. What's special about them until we can go toe for toe?
Yeah.
Show me what you built.
Isn't it inherently built in that because they were born into those families, that's what makes them special? It gives them access to resources. It gives them special privileges that you and I would not even have. All of these people that you mentioned, doesn't that inherently just make them special?
No, it's a fact. My point is, their grandfather, great-great-grandfather, they were me. At a certain time, they said, those guys, I'm going to up. I want to build something special. I want to own a tribe. I want to have a nation named after me. I want to build a sovereign nation. Their forefathers that allowed them the privileges were the rebels. And I'm saying every generation should have its cause. And I'm saying our cause should be to ask those questions. A generation or 2 or 3 ago, maybe I wouldn't have asked because I would have been so stuck in the trenches. We're fighting the apartheid system. I'm trying to make money. No, I'm trying to serve the king. But now we are privileged enough to be able to ask, but why? Why must we use American technology? Why must we listen to the United Nations? Why can we not have a BRICS as an example? Someone decided, let's create a BRICS for the developing nations. And I'm saying we can do that. Not just CODESA, not just with religion. We can do it culturally. Because so many black South Africans today are being impoverished and oppressed by what they call culture. Because what used to be cows is now money we don't have, where you have to go and take out a loan from a bank that is oppressing you, working for a person that you claim is part of the enemy. It's ridiculous. Why does the king have a say over your land? Have you decided that, or is it just, no, because my mom said Jesus is Lord? Why don't you ask? We're smart enough, we've studied enough to challenge, because we might be the people to be like, maybe Christianity is not the thing. Maybe South Africa needs to be an Islamic state, where alcohol is not allowed, where we have to go to madrasa or to the mosque, where our women are subservient and must cover themselves. Maybe that is what we want. Who decided? Because sometimes what you find is the who decided is not even who you think is the leader. It's not even your president. It's not the king. It's someone else. And that someone else does not have your best interests at heart. They have their best interests, and they found a convenient puppet to be the head and to tell you guys, no, yesiko lakwaZulu lento ayenziwa okhokho mele sihloniphe. I go to the principle and I say something like ilobolo brings families together. I love that very much. Bringing families together is not ilobolo. There is no term for bringing families together called ilobolo. It just happens that bringing families together comes under there. It is the families coming together. It's the man and the woman. It's a celebration of love or commitment or children. Can we challenge that and say, is it still serving us in a time where women are free? The woman you want to marry has been by 20 niggas before you. She's definitely not a virgin. She's a free woman. She probably has an absent dad. She's making her own money. Why must she now, when I want to commit to her, why must she pretend to be this little maiden? And now her uncles must be brought in who don't even know her from a bar of soap.
Yeah.
And come and speak on her behalf and come want your money. It's not even your father's money. Your father's nowhere to be seen. We've lost the essence of these things. And for me, it's like, when I challenge them, people are like, you're uncultured. And I'm like, sure, I'm uncultured. I'm planting a seed of let's speak about it. Because once we speak about it, where I wanted to go is to the genesis and the origin of what was the principle behind this. And once we get to the principle, is it being upheld today? If it's not, let's change it to the principle. But more importantly, is this principle still relevant? Do the families need to come together? Do we need to do an exchange of anything? Does money need to cross hands? Does the woman need to take my surname? Did we have surnames as black people before white people? We didn't. What did we have? We had Nkululeko la. So any woman that lives here, any child that lives here, anyone that rents here is going to be abantu ba Nkululeko. So when they ask, what's your surname? Nkululeko. That's not your surname. That's what they told you. But now when you live on your mom's land, why do you have to take your father's surname when your dad was not even there?
Yeah.
Kind of situation. So we need to go back even to the principles. And for me, I want to unpack all of these things. Part of them then bring in things like isthembu, polygamy. What is polygamy in 2022? Especially now that we've been westernized and our women are liberated. What is polygamy? What are these practices? Do they serve black South Africans? And what role do they play in a world that is already oppressing black South Africans? If your culture, if your religion is not enriching you, is not protecting you, is not giving you dignity so you can walk in the world and beat your chest, it's not allowing you to dominate, that means it is oppressing you. And it's probably time you let it go. And I want as many people to let it go. But of course, in that same conversation, let it go and then go where? Then we need to explore what are the other options. And for most black people, the next option is just Christianity, which seems to oppress them again. And you're lost again. I'll stop there.
Yeah, uyathetha mfaka
I do.
Uyathetha mntanami. Nithi lobola human.
It is outdated.
It's not human. The exchange of money for the transfer of a human being.
The reason the ANC has been allowed to rule for so long with incompetence and corruption is because embedded in what we call culture today is this respect for elders, even when they are wrong. Julius Malema would get up in parliament and challenge older people. He was called disrespectful. How can Malema speak to umuntu omdala like that? He was speaking on behalf of the people, that it can't be that just because you are old, you are right. And today is a master following because of that disrespect. But it wasn't disrespect. It was saying, Go Komkulu, why do we take our family's cows to the king when the king does nothing for us? When people break into our house, the king doesn't reimburse what was lost. Why is my brother going to work as a security guard in Joburg? But Kanti, what's the king meant to be doing? No, isiko, mfana. Lalela, uhlonipha. Inhlonipho comes first. How can you hlonipha something that is oppressing you? That's not inhlonipho because it means you're disrespecting yourself and your own family. And again, I say, for a Misuzulu to have the privilege he has today, you needed, for example, a Shaga to be rebellious enough to go and do the unfavorable things, which are, could call him a dictator, a tyrant, going to kill nations, going to fight other tribes, to consolidate and have power. You need to have that mindset to understand that whoever you're going to challenge has become a subject and a sheep of something that was built from atrocities. The South Africa we enjoy today, one of the most privileged countries on the African continent, we're privileged because British colonization came here and mined and exploited black labor and our resources for us to have nice highways and schools. And that's why the Zimbabweans and the Mozambicans and the Sotho people want to come here, because of atrocities that allowed us privileges. And if you want to change the narrative, you may have to commit atrocities. They may not be killing people. They may just be saying verbal things that are unfavorable.
I don't know how every time the conversation is always perfect until somehow every time I speak to you, there must be atrocities. I know you're making an example, but geez, man, like you're so attracted to this idea of atrocities.
I'm not attracted, unfortunately. It's nature. I don't know how else to say it. For us to get gold, steel, we have to destroy the environment. We have to destroy it. For us to have a yummy lamb chop, oxtail, we have to murder an animal. Aggressively so. For a woman to give birth to a beautiful baby, she has to be in labor and push, and there's blood. It's the atrocity, it's the beauty and the... All I'm saying is, for some of the LGBTQI, for women to rise, women needed to march to the union buildings. The LGBTQI nation, some of them had to be killed so that they could unite and say we're tired of being killed for just our personal preferences. We're tired and we're willing to fight back. If it means we infiltrate organizations and we set laws where if you discriminate, you get kicked out, you get blocked, you get banned, you get suspended, so be it. But this is what it will take for us. But there needed to be atrocities for them to wake up. Black people needed to die to unite. We need to have load shedding. To actually be like, guys, maybe our leaders are actually bad.
We don't actually need those things to happen.
We don't need them.
We don't need load
We
shedding
do need
to happen
them.
before we realize we need light.
There's no other way. If you can show me in history where things have been built out of goodness, never. You can go to the greatest nation.
Oh, you're making leaps now.
How do you?
You don't necessarily need chaos for something beautiful to rise. It's just seeing the necessity that, in darkness we cannot see, therefore we need light. And therefore, from that, we create a system where light is preserved, that from 7 until 7 p.m. at night until 6 a.m., the light is on. And because we are decent human beings who understand systems, we create systems where that will run for good. We don't need load shedding to disrupt that before we see the beauty of or the necessity of the light.
What you call darkness is not chaos. It's an atrocity to me because we don't need to have it. And you must understand that when there's load shedding,
like now, actually.
Oxygen tanks don't work.
Like now.
People die. People literally die. People that rely on electricity die. People are in car accidents because a robot is down and someone came driving and they didn't see the red light. It may not be chaos to someone else. It may not be All I'm saying is for change to happen, for you to leave Cape Town,
I get you.
something needed to spark. And it may not necessarily be chaos and you're under so much oppression.
Sure.
But there needed to be a push. And I'm calling it an atrocity, a tragedy, whatever you want to call it. And from a cultural perspective, I'm just saying the privileges that some of the people have today, it was earned by their forefathers. The kids that are there today, I'm like, you haven't built anything. You haven't created anything. You're not even like a fighter. It's not like you're big and muscular. You're just like me. You're just holding on to that privilege. And the same way we fight white privilege today, I feel we should fight religious privilege. I feel we should fight cultural privilege, because the masses of the people in those spaces, the net effect is not positive. The people have to migrate to cities to work for the enemy.
Yeah.
Because your leaders are not doing the right thing for you.
Yeah, no, I get you. I've always understood you from the first time I heard you speak. And I've understood the importance of having such a voice. And I think that your voice is important as it relates to highlighting some of the things. Of course, some people will disagree. It's just that if you're trying to find a way to escape paying for ilobolo, or you just want multiple wives. I mean, you make provocative statements like, how much does a child need the father to be there, for example?
Yeah.
That's a provocation. But I think the more you speak about these things, the more you highlight them and you make us think about them. I do agree with you that Cape Town, or the Western Cape, is filled with the African migrant worker who leaves the Eastern Cape, which still has these abosbonda, these chiefs and these kings that preside over regions. If that is working, why is there a necessity for 3 or 4 million people within maybe a 4-year period or 10-year period to migrate to different provinces, if that was working? So I understand the importance of those questions.
Your leadership has failed. You need new leadership, and it's not going to come from you. It almost never comes from the mass. That's the other thing people don't understand when I speak, because a lot of people, when I speak culturally, they catch feelings, and it's fine. I'm speaking to sheep. They will only join me once myself and a few other brave people start pushing. When a Julius and a Floyd and a Mbuiseni start pushing, that's when it will be favorable to jump on the ship. In the beginning, you'll also jump on the other wagon. No, this guy's disrespectful. But until you start seeing the sheep have never changed anything. So I'm not expecting the masses to be in support of me, because if they were, we wouldn't be here
in the first place.
Yeah, so it requires brave minds. For me, it's just letting people know there's an alternative. And it's letting other people that are frustrated like me say, oh, there's an army, there's an armed struggle. Hi, Baba, I've been waiting. Sure, we're there. Sobugo is calling us. Oh, Baba. I'm Tantralax. Yeah, Baba, we're there. So it's a parliament. I wanted to say on this Lobola thing, I know people try to hide because they're hiding. No, Ilobolo was not the buying of a woman. What do you mean? It was. It was.
Human trafficking.
It was definitely what we'd call human trafficking today, especially at the practice of uktwala, which is still prevalent in South Africa today. People don't know. A girl can be taken from her home without consent and forcefully married into another family.
Yeah,
and then
we'll
her family
it later on.
Yeah, her family is paid in cows later for.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying,
it was not a malicious undermining of the woman. People also need to understand it. So as much as the woman was being bought, when it started being cows with Lord Theophilus Shepson, before that there was a gesture, love, what, I'd bring cabbages, I'd bring pumpkins, whatever. When we decided to formalize with the white gent to the 11 cows, and now we have the money, it became a buying. And the essence was this, and again, it's not a negative, malicious thing. You have a daughter who is very valuable in your home, high value. She's a virgin, she's pure, amazing cook. She cleans the house. She maybe has a beautiful voice. In the morning, she wakes the family up with song. When a man myself would like to have her, or my family, because it would my family, it wouldn't be me. When we want to have her, we're taking so much from you. We're taking music. We're taking food. We're taking purity. The least we can do is compensate you for the value. That compensation is a payment for something valuable to you. And when we take the woman, we're not taking her aggressively. Oh, you want to come and be a surrogate. We're just going to be pumping babies in you. No. We see your value. But we're taking you from Nkululeko to Penuel. You're going to be a lady of Penuel. You're no longer going to speak his Xhosa. You're going to speak his Zulu today. You're no longer going to dress in this. You're going to dress in this. There's going to be a transition. We even give you a new name.
Yeah.
And we go around shouting to the world. And you even say, hey, they took my flower. Everyone knows, hey, Nkuleko's daughter was... Every young man looked at her. And this family that acquired her must be a family of stature because she was that valuable. But it was an acquisition of an asset. In the same way today we treat children. Children are assets. That's why we go to courts and we fight over custody and adoption, and dad must maintain, and whose surname will the child take. It is the exact same concept. Not because a child is an item, property. Why you make it seem like a child is you guys are going to fight over something that you deem valuable, of which sadly today children are not valuable. They're actually a liability. Most children suck money from you, and you empower them so that they can go and enrich another family. You're not empowering them so that they can enrich your family. Whereas in the past with Ilobolo, you would raise your daughter because you know at some point she would become so valuable that someone would be willing to give you 50 heads of cattle. Because everyone in the town, everyone in the village wants your daughter or your daughters. When your daughters walk in the street, when they shop at a cultural event, everyone keeps quiet. Even the girls, they're like, yo, I wish I was of that home kind of situation. But we've lost that today. It's very sad. But we've seen it change. This is where we're not having conversations. So where you don't want to marry a king's daughter today, you do want to marry an influencer because she has built so much value. You look at her Instagram followers, you look at the TV work she's done.
Would you marry an influencer?
Many people do, and they pay top dollar. There were rumors of Ukune potentially paying R1 million for Umini Dlamini. Because you see value. You're like, if I marry this woman who happens to be an engineer, a chartered accountant, whatever, she's going to bring a lot of money into the family. And if she's a yellow bone slave queen with a fat ass, do you know how beautiful my kids are going to be? My kids are going to walk around with an unearned privilege because mom is so hot, because dad is so rich. That was what it was before, but in a more natural, intrinsic way. But it's the same dynamic.
We don't get women's money. We don't get to spend women's money.
It's debatable.
Predominantly.
There's a lot of men in South Africa today that are leeching off women, and a lot of women that don't speak out because they're embarrassed and ashamed.
Yeah, but it's not a significant percentage.
You won't know because they don't speak out because they're ashamed.
If it was of a pandemic proportion, we would know of it.
You'll know of it soon enough. This is how people used to speak about QI Nation. It's a small group.
I'm not being ignorant.
No, I'm not saying you're ignorant. I'm trying to explain.
That would be...
Let me say this. We've got a situation now where women have become empowered.
Women's money... we don't use women's money.
I'll stop there.
Predominantly.
I'll agree to disagree.
Okay, predominantly.
There are many men today, whether there's fathers, whether there's brothers, whether there's uncles, whether there's husbands, that are living off women. The women, for many reasons, just do not speak about it. But I'm telling you, it is there. And I'm hoping
maybe it's in a different class. It's not.
I'm hoping more women will speak up.
Yeah, maybe it's in a different class. And I would argue that it's not a significant number. It's not even more than 10%.
Hugely significant.
It's not even more than 10%.
It could be more than 50%.
No. That's debatable. No, that's not even debatable. I would not take
Look at the money flow. We're speaking black people.
Yeah.
You must look at the money flows. I'll just give you basic data. Professionals, corporates, black women marginally, which means by a small percentage, earn more than black men. Mm-hmm. On average. We
don't use women's money as men.
Did you hear that?
No, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
At the lower end, marginally, men earn more. So we'll speak a gardener versus a domestic worker. Mm-hmm. We'll speak a KFC
employee
teller versus the guy who's working at the back making the chicken. Yeah. Marginally, the men earn more. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, if you're going to tell us that, let's say, for example, I'm going to make an example. This is not real. If 60% of women make the bulk of money, black women, because they are the teachers, the nurses, the waitresses, the administrators, etc. If 60% of the women make most of the money, by default, most of the men that need to eat, to get clothes, to get data, to get money for a taxi, are getting it from a woman somewhere. As an example, I would say then we can argue what percentage of the money flows to women before it flows to the people that need it.
I would argue that if a man in that dynamic makes $1,000 and the woman makes 3,000 rands, which is not money for both of them, the man significantly contributes towards the woman, even with his $1,000.
I highly disagree. I've heard that data, and I've heard it from Americans. When a man makes money, the family eats. When a woman makes money, it's for her and her makeup and her what. When I look at it, having been raised largely by a single mom, looking at the woman
That's
in my
actually
mom's family,
the scenario I'm thinking about.
Sure.
That predominantly it's a single mother for her own offspring and herself.
yeah,
That makes provision. But in a scenario where it's I am the man, you're the woman, or whatever, like there's a man and a woman, two people, the man does not. We don't get women's money. We don't.
Sure.
We don't use women's money.
I'm disputing that.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is that I'm disagreeing with you.
That's cool.
Which is
Like,
fine.
there's nothing wrong with that.
A lot of us were raised by single moms. I don't agree with this stat, but over 65% of children are in single mother households in this country, or the fathers are absent. Sorry, let me say that. I disagree with the stat because I think there's variables at play there. But according to Stats SA, over 65% of fathers are not there with their kids, which means the kids are being raised by the mom or by grandparents. Single mothers take their money as a domestic worker, as a teacher, as a nurse, and they raise the kids.
Yeah.
And they provide black tax at home
Sure.
and to other people. The men that are working in this country are drinking. And yes, some of them are spending money on e-wallets and slay queens, which again then filters down to a woman. So maybe, let's say my mom is raising me on her own, single mom, but you actually find out she's being funded by a tenderpreneur somewhere. So that money is actually coming from a man and not from my mother.
Yeah.
I'm saying I do not believe there are enough men, black men, not all men. I believe most of the money sits with white men in this country.
Yeah, obviously.
So with white people,
Obviously, yeah.
I'd like to think with white people the dynamics are different. The families are actually taken care of by men, and the women get to enjoy their monies. With black families, I believe it's the women that are taking care of the families to a point where after the man is drunk and after he's pissed his money on women, he comes home and he's fed by the woman's money and her groceries, and he's sleeping in her house under her bond or her rent. That's my stance. We'd have to look at the data and the stats and the whatever.
Maybe
but
we're
I
arguing
fundamentally disagree
we
with
are,
you.
We are arguing two different things. You see, the scenario you're drawing now is a woman providing and the man not providing, right? I'm saying women don't give us money. Like, we don't use their money. That's all I'm saying. Like, women make their money and it's not of value to us as men. It's valuable for our kids. If I'm living with her there, I think it would be an insufferable scenario anyways for me to live with her there without her reminding me that I need to pay rent or provide if the house is under her name or whatever the case is.
I've got
Coming
a
from where I
hunch.
come from, like we don't get women's money. Like it's for them. Like it's not for us. And of course it benefits the children and the school fees and whatever when they have their own money.
I've got a hunch that black women have a lower unemployment rate than black men in this country.
Yeah.
I've got a hunch.
No, I mean, I believe that
I could be
without
wrong.
looking at the stats, I would want to believe that.
Sure. So going back to my example, I believe if more black women are making money than black men, I believe by default, they have to be taking care of the men. The Nyaupe guys, the guys who are unemployed, the
Maybe
guys
they
who
are
are chilling
children.
on corners, that's it.
Maybe they're
I hear you. So the children argument could be,
Maybe they are children.
My
They're
mo-
taking
my
care
mom
of
is a
their
nurse.
offspring.
my mom is a nurse.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, I don't touch her money,
Yes.
but I'm living off my mom's money. So somewhere there's a woman taking care of me.
Yeah, but
That's my argument.
Yeah, in relationship dynamic, we don't use women's money. You know this. I know this. Like
I'm not going to agree to that. I'm not going to agree.
I don't want you to agree.
I know.
That's why I
But
like
when
you.
you say you know that,
You're-
not agreeing.
Okay, so you've predominantly been living a lived experience where women give you money.
no, not me personally.
Okay, all right. That's why I'm saying.
Unless you're asking me, you.
That's why I'm saying. You
Or
know
me and
this
you
and-
definitely know. We're
Yeah,
different. But that's why we're here.
No, man. But
'Cause we're
still,
different.
the township experience, I've seen it. But anyways, this is a backward conversation because we don't have stats and facts. It's
Sure.
just interesting, guys. That's why they say we don't do therapy as men, we do podcasts.
We're
Because
speaking about ilobolo and human trafficking and those
yeah,
things.
massive island because of load shedding.
If-
Final word on that.
Final word is I want us to have a codesa to unpack what we want to happen to the land. And
Sure.
I know I have a plan, and I'd like to maybe shout my plan to the universe. My fear with shouting it out is that certain political parties and other leaders are going to steal it and make it their own, which I don't want. I want us to have an economic codesa, how we want the economy to be run. I want us to have a cultural codesa. And I want us to unpack culture. I want us to dismantle tribal land. We speak about nationalization. I don't want the land to be nationalized the way people want. But if Dalindyebo is going to have custodianship over land, he must be allowed to set his own tax. He must build economic structures. He must build structures of education. And his people should not live there. And if his people are going to live there, we must punish him, penalize him, tax him for taking care of his people and feeding his people and employing his people, because he's failing with the land that he's meant to have. If he's going to be leasing that land to outsiders, that money has to fundamentally be audited, and it has to trickle down to the people and not enrich him and his family. Same with Ngonyama Trust, which normally gets the spotlight because it's 3 million hectares or 2.8 million hectares, and it makes a lot of money. That needs to be audited because it is not serving the people, and the people of KwaZulu, Emakaya, are rushing to the metropolitans, begging for jobs from other people who still have to then pay tax, so that these people back in the villages can get basic services, because their king is sitting there on a throne doing nothing for his people. So I have the land, but then you shouldn't have the perks, shouldn't have the best of both worlds. Otherwise, we have to dismantle these things and give them to the people that are creating the jobs, paying the tax, and then we need to have a very, very emotional conversation about tweaking culture. Do we still want to be Nguni? Do we still want to be Xhosa, Ndebele, Zulu, Swati?
Yeah.
Or do we want something new? And if we're going to have it, what is it going to be? We are the people of Mandela. We are the people of Zuma. Okay, now we've got new tribes. Now we are the Zuma people. But we must decide it, and we must own it. And we must document it in history. And then our kids must be, I was born in this. We now have double barrel surnames. We now don't have surnames. Our surname is based on your geography. I am Penuel van Johannesburg. You are Nkululeko van Cape Town. We must own that, and then we must change the narrative moving forward. And it must be practical, must be principle based, and it must ensure that we are winning. We are rich, we have good health, everyone is happy, we're not beating each other up, and we're not being bullied by the worlds out there. In closing.
Masibulele mfaka Mlotshwa. Penuel van der Johannesburg. Masibulele ndoda. Instead of going to therapy, you go to podcasts.
Boom. Boom.
And spread your toxic masculinity there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching us. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Nkululeko on Cultr.